Did everyone understand the question? Because everyone here understands Swedish, right? Okay, I'll just say very briefly an answer. He's making a very good point. He says that even in the West we see that the states, I mean the parts of the ruling class, or they sort of compromise with political Islam or with Islamism, and we see even women's rights here are being discriminated against. We can actually talk about the women's rights in the sort of Islamic communities. Definitely, that's true. Why do you think that is? You see, the thing is, even when they say they're fighting against sort of Islamism, they say against terror, or so they're fighting against they say they're fighting against extremists. So what they do, they differentiate among the Islamic movement between so-called fundamentalists and moderates. The ones who are pro-West, the ones who are against West, kind of a thing. They go by that. They do not want to destroy Islamic movement, and I don't want them to destroy it this way anyway, but they're not trying to destroy it. They want to get into a new balance of power with them. Like US wants them to listen to US, but they have become the sort of rebellious child. Islamism now has become the rebellious child. US wants them to be sort of shrewd, be sort of kind of domesticated. This is what they want. They don't want to get rid of the Islamism. Because if you're thinking about religion, look at what's happening in the US. The rise of Christian evangelism in US is just as reactionary as the Islamic movement. They're bombing abortion clinics in US. Okay? And if you're thinking about political right-wing, they're just as political right-wing. Now in US, you don't have any private life whatsoever. Everything is controlled. Actually, the right wing in the West took advantage of the September 11th and brought some repressive measures in the West, something they did not dare do 10 years ago. Now they're doing it. Like Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, everyone knows about that. It's a symbol of brutality and repression. So they have a lot in common. They have a lot in common. US and Islamism, they have a lot in common. So what they want to do, they just want to get into a new balance of power. They don't want to get rid of it. Saudi Arabia is another kind of Islamic state. It's a good friend of Britain and US. It's a country that when a girl is gang raped, they put the girl who's been raped into jail. The girl has been gang raped with her friend, boyfriend, or whatever. They're putting those in jail and giving them lashes. How a woman dare to show her face or come out? This is Saudi Arabia. But good friends of Bush, good friends of Mr. Blair and now Brown, good friends of the West. So it's not Islamism in that sense they have any problem. They have built it. They needed Islamism as a safeguard against the left, against communism, against labor movement. If they don't have the Islam, you see now look at, for example, I mean, we're not talking about China, is a whole different brutal case, but I'm talking about countries who are under Islam, for example, Indonesia. You know, the labor-intensive country it is. How many of these factories are there and being exploited? How women are exploited in Indonesia? Or how workers are being exploited? They need Islam. They need Islam to exploit those workers. They very much go hand in hand. It might sound like a cliche, that how capitalism uses religion, but it's not a cliche, it's a reality. Now what we're seeing is so open and exposed in front of our eyes in the 21st century. Marx said religion is an opium of the masses, but that was in 18th century. No, it's a killer of people. It's not only opium anymore, it's killing people. We're seeing it. We're seeing it so exposed now. All this truth that they were pushed aside at one time, we're seeing them again, how they come into existence. So what we have to do here, something we have fought against, we fought a lot against cultural relativism. something that many liberals, many good people thought it was progressive. And I used to say, do you think us, people from Middle East, we are masochists? We like to practice our culture by being stoned, being lashed, being killed? What kind of people do you think we are? You say that's our culture, but we are being stoned to death for having sex out of marriage. We're being lashed for not observing the veil, being put into prison and tortured. What kind of religion is that? What kind of culture is that? So we fought against cultural relativism. Fortunately now it's not as strong as it used to be 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So what we have to do is we have to, the only way, to my opinion, we have to criticize religion, we have to criticize Islam, we have to see the political and ideological part of that movement is not only religious. So it's not only enough to criticize Quran, we have to do that, but we have to also see the political and ideological side of political Islam and fight with that. At the same time, we have to fight for secularism. Secularism has become important. In the 18th century, French Revolution raised the banner of secularism in France, separated church from state. After that, we saw religion being sort of pushed aside. No other European countries, except France, is secularism that way. This church is not separated from the state, not in Sweden, nor in Denmark, nor in Germany, in England. No, I mean, I'm talking about Western Europe, because Eastern Europe it was, but now things are changing. Like, for example, now Catholic Church has a lot of power in Poland. Orthodox Church has a lot of power in Russia. So it's changing. I'm not very familiar with what's happening now. So secularism, again, another banner we have to raise and fight for it. And for one law, one citizen. And if there is honor killing, it has to be treated as a murder, punished just any other murder that would be punished in the court, in Sweden, in France, anywhere, and not be sort of looked, not be mitigated because it's, well, they're Muslim, this is their culture. Well, I know a Swedish man might have done the same thing 50 years ago. Well, the culture has changed, hasn't it? The culture has changed. Christianity was just as brutal. Look at the Middle Ages. What happened? It has reformed, it has developed. Should we go back and say, well, the Middle Ages, that's their culture, let the witch be burned? If everyone had said that then, we wouldn't have had this culture that we have now. And this is exactly what we are doing. We are doing, see, we have a lot of burden on our shoulder. We have to fight what French Revolution fought for. We have to fight what 70s fought for. We have to fight what all the labor movements have fought here for. We have to have a lot of battles on our shoulder to build a better world, a real better world with justice, liberty, and equality in the place. I think time is finished, huh? Yeah, okay.
Tack så mycket. Tack för att ni kom. I alla fall om ni vill veta mer om den här organisationen Women's Liberation. Alltså här finns här Pervin Kabuli, Shahla Nouri. De är sådana aktivister i den här organisationen. Och jag är också medlem. Esmail Oji också, det är en medlem. Här i Göteborg, vi finns på ett hus som heter Medusa-huset. Det är på Axel Dahlströms torg i närheten. Torsdagar vi har öppna kvällar. De som är intresserade, det finns artiklar, tidskrifter. Vi diskuterar olika samhällsproblem. Ni är hjärtligt välkomna. Och ifall ni är intresserade av boken, så det finns på informationsbordet en trappa ut. Och tidningen också som heter samma namn, alltså Women's Liberation. Vi har på persiska och engelska tyvärr, alltså vi är dåligt på språk, alltså jag pratar lite sämre och jag har inte orkat översätta det på svenska. Tack så mycket att ni kom.